Hi, my name is Maria and welcome back to my YouTube channel.
You're crazy! Bro, let's go!
So today I'm going to be talking about basic training in the US Army during 2021 with COVID restrictions. This was during COVID, but there was way more restrictions there are now. I think there's no such thing as yellow phase anymore, which yellow phase was 2 weeks of you being quarantined and being separated with everyone, and then before you integrated all together, you guys had to take a COVID test. So this was my basic training, not my experience. I want to talk about basic training as a whole, not my experience. My experience is, it's a long story, as you can tell. But basic training in 2021, there was such thing as a yellow phase, but I believe there's no such thing as yellow phase anymore. I'm not sure what they substituted with that, or they just went back to the whole thing being red phase. So basic training is a 10-week process, and it is very challenging mentally and physically for some people. So right when you get to basic training, you obviously go to reception, but reception is a whole different story. I'm gonna go straight into basic training. Basic training, you get there, they take you off the bus, they do roll call, they make you do a challenge together before you get to your little station or wherever you're supposed to be at. I was in Fort Jackson 113th Infantry, and right when we got there, they smoked us, they introduced themselves. And smoking is not smoking. Smoking is when they basically just make you do push-ups, exercise right there and then, like any movie you've seen where they yell at you and tell you to do push-ups, sit-ups, just like that. So that's a smoking session. So right when we got there, we got a nice smoking session welcome, and then they separated males and females during yellow phase. This was a 2 weeks that we were separated. Females went to, well, us, mainly different people, they did it different, but for us, we went to a whole different brigade. I don't remember exactly where we went, but you're mixed with just women. There is no one else. There was 2 rooms full with women, and there's only 20 people to a room, which is very little. And you were just there for 2 weeks. Those 2 weeks, you're basically just getting smoked and having class, and obviously doing PT and learning all the steps throughout PT. And so wake up was around probably 5. We had to be downstairs and ready to go by 5:30, and so those 2 weeks just consisted of class and smoking and learning everything before you get integrated with the men. So when those 2 weeks are up, we got COVID tested, and to make sure we were allowed to mix with the men. When we got COVID tested, we did get a scare, and then it eventually got cleared up. After yellow phase, we ended up going to actual brigade, and we did during red phase. It was only, I think, 1 week for us. I don't believe it was any longer. I don't really remember. It wasn't that long. I remember it just being 1 week, about a week and a half or so, or 2 weeks. But so during those 2 weeks, you did the gas chamber and the confidence course and the rappel tower. We did the gas chamber first. So when we went to the gas chamber, we ended up rucking to the gas chamber, and it was the worst ruck of my life. It was only 2 miles, and I hated every second of it. After those 2 miles, we got to the gas chamber. We ended up getting a bus ride back to our brigade, which was awesome, felt amazing. After that, we did the confidence course, which it rained on us, so we did not do it. So it's a bunch of obstacles that makes you feel confident with your abilities to be able to do. After we did the confidence course, you go straight into the rappel tower, which the rappel tower was amazing. I absolutely loved it. I wish I could go down way more times, but the people that were scared and they would go down, they would make them go right back up and do it again. But if you're having fun, you're having a good time, no, you did it once and you're gone. So I wish I faked it at sometimes. For red phase, you ended up finishing off the red phase with something called the hammer. The hammer is a 5-mile ruck. It's your first ever official ruck. It's a 2-day, 1-night event. So you ruck 5 miles to your destinations, and you basically set up camp. and you make sure no one invades your camp. You make sure everything, you have to have fire guards. So fire guard is when one person is up and making sure nothing's happening while everyone else is asleep, like keeping and staying watch. Right when you get there, you set up camp, like I said, and you make a hole. You make up your sleeping hole. This is important because this is your sleeping area, so you have to make it nice and comfortable for when you do go to sleep. You have to make it deep enough so if anyone does shoot, you are nice and hidden. After you finish the hammer, you come back to your barracks or your bay, whatever you want to call it, and you transition into white phase. You do a nice little smoking session before that, and then you transition to white phase. When you transition to white phase, basically it's 3 weeks of you just shooting a weapon and being comfortable with the weapon and passing the weapon. You have to pass every event they have. I completely hate it because every time you were going to the range and then when you came back, you got smoked no matter what. There was no time that we did not get smoked. So we would get smoked 24/7, and I hated it because of that, because you're drained from being in the sun all day, and then you come back and you think you're gonna rest, but they're like,
no, we're gonna smoke you instead.
So we'd get smoked for quite a while. And during white phase, after you finish basically just shooting a weapon and being comfortable with it, and basically it's day and night, that's all you do, you end up going to the Anvil, which is an 8-mile ruck, and you set up camp there. It's 2 nights and 3 days event. So one day you're rucking, set up camp, and then you go to bed in your hole. The Anvil was fun for us because we did play capture the flag during the Anvil, which was totally awesome. I loved it, sneaking into other people's camps, and when they say bang bang, you're dead, and you go back to your camp. After the Anvil is done, we'd ruck for a little bit until we got to a point where the bus can pick us up. We get in the bus and they take us back. It was awesome. I loved the Anvil. Well, I didn't love it, but it was fairly cool. And then you transition to blue phase. You get smoked, transition to blue phase, and you're basically, these are the 2 weeks you prepare for the forge, right? So the forge is basically the same as the Anvil, about 3 days, 2 nights, and you ruck there, which is about 8 miles. I think it was 10 miles, to be honest. I think it's 10 miles there and 10 miles back, to be honest, but I wasn't sure. I think I got told that it was 8 miles there somehow and then 10 miles back. But no matter what, this whole time there's no buses. You are rucking everything you are rucking. You're putting down base, you're doing everything. And this is more of a thing for the soldiers to be able to be comfortable with. The drill sergeants are not telling you what to do. You are doing it yourself. You have your own leaders to be able to tell you what to do. During the forge, I was APG, so I was the assistant PG. I wasn't very good at it though, but we had to be able to tell everyone to be quiet, which is really hard to tell somebody else to be quiet when you're in the same role as them, but you're supposedly PG. I don't know. So it's more of a soldier's thing, like the trainees, my apologies. The trainees are training with each other. The drill sergeants are not telling what to do unless they tell us to get ready and get ready to go walk somewhere. So during that, we did something called Nick at Night. Is basically there's gunfire above your head, which they say is really close to you, and if you stand up, you get shot, but that's completely a lie. They're shooting 10 feet above you, and you're supposed to be crawling the whole time. And right when you see a flare, you're supposed to stay still, and then you crawl all the way. It's about 200 meter crawl in sand, and it's yucky, and it makes you so uncomfortable because you cannot shower at all. Imagine crawling in the sand in the beach. So we do stuff like that. We do something called Omaha. So basically you and this other person are communicating with each other and shooting at something and being like, battle buddy, cover me while I move, and the other guy's shooting while you move, and then that guy says, battle buddy, I got you covered, and then that person starts moving. So but you walk everywhere. You carry your weapon on you at all times. You cannot stay distant away from it. You come back from the forge, you have the soldiers ceremony. They officially give you your patches that you're a soldier, and it's very rewarding to ruck back those 10 miles, which is very exhausting, and be able to get that patch. So in reality, the blue phase is just preparing you for the forge and to become a soldier in graduation. After that, you go into, which is not a phase, they don't conclude this as a phase supposedly, but it's red, white, and blue phase. I wouldn't say for like a week, I would say like less than a week, preparing for graduation and, you know, family day, and then getting prepared. You're packing up all your stuff to get ready to leave and dip out. You clean for a whole day straight, 2 whole days straight, until everything's spotless clean, and then you guys go and get sent to AIT. So that's basically training during COVID and 2021. I believe all those have changed. When it comes to yellow phase, I believe it's no longer yellow phase. I believe it's just red phase altogether. I hope you guys like it. I'll share more about my experience one of these days and be able to tell you if I was mentally or physically prepared. But honestly, I'm still a boot, I would call myself. I just got out of basic like 5 months ago. So I hope you guys liked it. Comment if you guys want to know more. Right back to our